to another edition of the On Point with Victor show. I am Victor Armendariz, and this is America's Web Radio that you are tuned into. And I thank you from the bottom of exponentially week by week by week. And it's just an awesome thing, and I can't thank you enough. And those of you who've been listening for a while now, you know that I like to call out and show my appreciation to listeners. So I have to give a shout out to my new listeners in Pennsylvania. I met some of you over the weekend, and you guys were fantastic. Do not get discouraged. My message for you, my wonderful new listeners out there in Pennsylvania, you guys do not give up the fight. Do not believe what the media is trying to convince you. Just trust me on this. You feel good in your support for Trump, and don't let it go and don't let it die. And you continue to spread the word. And while you're at it, spread the word about the On Point with Victor show. I do greatly appreciate it. But thanks again, folks. What I'm referring to is I had a little event this weekend. I was honored to be a guest at a anniversary party in Daytona Beach, Florida, which I attended on Sunday evening in again Daytona Beach, and was just surrounded by some Florida listeners to the show and some Pennsylvania listeners to the show. It was awesome, and I cannot thank you listeners enough. I mean, folks. This show, we're heard in California, we're heard in Utah, we're heard in South Dakota and New York and Florida and Georgia and everywhere in between, and Texas. It really is awesome and very humbling. So thank you again for tuning in and listening. And boy, do we have a show for today. I always say it's hard to know where to begin sometimes. Folks, I am in utter amazement, and you may have heard me say this before. I didn't think I could see the Democrat Party stoop any lower. I didn't think I could see them blatantly lie any more than they have been lying. Folks, ever since Donald Trump was elected, the Democrats have done nothing but lie. They lied to you about Russia. They were lying to you about his associations with other people. They lied to you with a full-on impeachment trial. They lied to you about a phone call. Adam Schiff, who is a Democrat representative, air quote, sat in the halls of Congress and made up a phone call transcript. He made it up. He sat there in front for all to see in the halls, the sacred halls of Congress. This Democrat had the audacity to sit there and make up a pretend phone call, a phone call that he wished Donald Trump had had, but never had it, because Trump, in the wisdom that he has, released the transcript, which was known as the Ukrainian phone call, if you guys don't remember. And the transcript was there for all of us to see. And Adam Schiff was busted. Yet we still went to an impeachment trial based on the lies from Adam Schiff. Now, I'm really getting tired of Facebook. Folks, look, you want to know something about fact checks, and I'm using air quotes, fact checkers. I think 98% of the fact checkers on Facebook are connected to the old guy, George Soros. And if you don't know who George Soros is, look him up, because the so-called fact checkers are all connected to him. And if you think they're not partisan, if you think they're being truthful, well, I've got something to sell you. Because it is unbelievable how they continue to try and say Trump is lying. Now, does Trump embellish things in the way he says things? Sure. All of us do. I'd like to see you try and go out and give a speech off the cuff and get off teleprompter. And you're excited about this country. You're excited about things that happen. And you may use some illustrious words to describe something. That doesn't mean you're a liar. And these so-called fact checkers that continue, and the Democrats and the media, and some of my friends who for some odd reason, I shouldn't say that. I'm friends with anybody. If you're a Democrat, I don't care. You can even be a crazy commie, and I'll still be a friend. I'm going to correct you all the time. But anyway, So, but I'm amazed at the people who will continue to post and tell me that Donald Trump's a liar, and they'll refer to these ridiculous biased fact checkers, which aren't really fact checking anything. They're just trying to find any little thing any little inconsistency or anything so they can call him a liar. But yet, full on display are the lies from the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party lies to you in your face every day. The Obama-Biden administration lied to you day after day, and from 08 through 10 all the way to today, telling you that you could keep, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. That was knowingly false, and it was a lie. They told you that if we passed Obamacare, that your yearly healthcare costs would drop by $2,500. That was a lie. Everyone's healthcare went up. I mean, it is just absolutely ridiculous, the lies day after day after day that the Democrat Party tells. Now, look, you know what the saying is in Washington. Well, but it's what we say about Washington. How do you know if a politician's lying? His lips are moving. So this isn't, I'm harping on the Democrats right now because I'm tired of them trying to say that Trump's a liar all the time when he's not. And you trying to tell me to refer a fact check, I can refer you to video of the actual words coming out of the lying Democrat's mouth. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But I say this with also telling you that politicians in general, whether they're establishment Republican, establishment Democrat, you're going to get some lying politicians. But right now, they're trying to convince you that everything Donald Trump is a lie, everything that he says is a lie. They're trying to tell you that Biden's economy was a great economy and that Trump somehow put it into the ground. Folks, that is a huge lie. It couldn't be any different, and you can see it with your own eyes. And let me tell you something. The voters know it because you're going to get, I am telling you right now as I sit here today, Donald J. Trump is going to get more black votes than any Republican in history, and he's going to increase his Hispanic vote. I am telling you right now, you can almost take that to the bank. I'm not trying to say I'm a prophet teller and I can see the future, but I am telling you what I feel and what I think is developing. Folks, let me tell you something. This morning, I received a package from FedEx, and the driver, who was a black man, came up to my door and rang the doorbell and waited. Now, folks, they never wait for you to open the door. They just leave the package there. This guy waited. So I opened the door, and he goes, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you, I love your bumper sticker." Now, let me tell you, I got a truck, sits in the driveway, and I got a Trump bumper sticker on it. It says, "Keep America Great." And let me tell you something. To have this black blue-collar worker who drives a FedEx truck come to my door, ring the doorbell, just so he could tell me that he was with me, and he's a Trump supporter as well. Folks, there is a silent majority that is developing. And that silent majority is growing, and I think that silent majority grew tremendously after last week's convention, which we will get to in a bit. But back to this lying bit. Here's the Democrats' policy right now. When all else fails, you lie. And if that doesn't work, you lie, and lie some more. The Democrat Party truly, truly does live by the adage, if we tell this lie enough, and our media arm tells this lie long enough, then it will become the truth. And that's what they are trying to do right now. So it ought to be ticking off all of you. As a voter, I don't care if you're an R, a D, an L, an I, or a LGBTQ or SUV. I don't care what you identify with. You ought, as a voter and an American, you ought to be really ticked off that you have a political party that's trying to convince you the other side is lying while they're standing there lying to you. It's amazing, folks. It's amazing. Look, I would go as far as to tell you what Biden's new motto is. We over the weekend, the new campaign mantra, the new campaign slogan for the Biden campaign is now out. And that basically is, vote for me or watch your cities burn. This is the Biden campaign now. Vote for Biden or your cities will burn. If you think it's bad now, vote for Trump and it'll get much worse. That's what they're trying to tell you. They are using fear and just complete fear mongering to try and scare you into either one, voting for Biden, or two, staying at home. That is what this Democrat Party is trying to do right now. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. Today's Democrat Party, it isn't even the Biden party of 47 years ago. It's not the Biden of 47 years ago. It's not the Kennedy party of the Democrats. It is not. Today's Democrat Party is the far left, most progressive, socialist, Marxist group of Democrats we've ever seen. And they're being led by Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez. And Pelosi and Schiff and all these other goofballs over there on the left. Biden is not control of himself, folks. I am telling you, you just got to keep watching and you'll see what I'm saying. This party is very progressive. There is a reason that Bernie Sanders the other day said that Joe Biden, if he wins, will be the most progressive president in history. That's not because of what Biden was 47 years ago. That is because Biden isn't in control today. Bernie Sanders and the Obama people are controlling, and Ocasio-Cortez are controlling the Biden campaign. Biden has handlers. Biden doesn't go out and do campaigning. His handlers take him out and do campaigning. Folks, have you ever seen a campaign where the wife of the candidate is doing more campaign stops than the actual candidate? That's what you're about to see, and that's what we're already seeing. You will hear more from Jill Biden than you will from the candidate, Joe Biden. So ponder that if you want to know who's in control of Biden. It isn't Biden. Biden couldn't even. They pulled him out of the basement over the weekend, took him down to Pennsylvania. They prepared a very short speech. All he had to do was read it, and he couldn't even do that. He had a room of about 5 or 6 people. He had a very short speech to read, and he had problems doing that, folks. Now, I am telling you right now, they are working behind this. While Biden looks at you and reads, I am ready to debate Donald Trump. When you see him read that, they're behind the scenes doing everything they can to make sure that he never debates Donald Trump. I am telling you, folks. And you know how I know this? Because I'm seeing the Democrat plan unfold. Because just this morning, there's news out that there's oh my goodness, I can't remember who it was. It's either a governor or a mayor Democrat who's being challenged pretty heavily by a Republican, who said today they will not debate their Republican challenger. And they're saying, we're not going to debate because I don't want to be in person because of, you guessed it, the Wuhan COVID-19. Folks, this virus that is in every number is heading in the right direction. We just found out that of the 150,000 plus or so deaths listed on the CDC website, that only 9,200 or 9,600 are directly due to COVID-19 and the Wuhan 19. Ponder that for a moment, folks. Think about it. What you've been told has been completely wrong, and it's not me telling you this. It's not Donald Trump telling you this. It's not Fox News telling you this. It is the CDC website itself telling you. Now, when we come back, I'll tell you what the percentage is on that. It's absolutely unbelievable, folks. But we'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. You're listening to the On Point with Victor show. This is America's Web Radio.
You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan, and every family will save thousands of dollars a year. I'm Ellen Deal, and if you've been hurt by the Affordable Care Act, you can email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com to see if we can help. Small business owners, individuals, families, and baby boomers, email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com for 3 easy questions to determine if you can get away from Obamacare. I'm a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry and here to help you for all your insurance needs.
We all have comfort zones. They're those areas of life that, when disturbed, we cry out and protest, "It's not fair. I don't like this." Instead of seeking your own comfort, imagine what the world would be like if we were looking to comfort others. That's what God does. The psalmist said, "Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." You know, God has every right to demand that we bring him comfort, but instead he reaches out, and in our times of hurt, he brings healing. When Jesus Christ returns to this world again someday, every believer will be united with the Lord. That passage ends with a powerful sentence of security. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. Comfort. It conjures up thoughts of ease and inactivity. Yet the most comfortable we can be is in the center, the active center and purpose of our lives for God. Instead of looking for a way out of your current circumstances, why not look up to the Christ of comfort who will help you, heal you, and make you whole? This is John Bryan bringing you today's key word.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mike Karuchak. Have you ever wondered what doctors talk about amongst themselves? If you do, join us on the Doctor's Lounge and hear the doctors' conversations amongst themselves. Join me and my co-host, Dr. Hal Schertz, every Thursday morning, 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Okay, folks, we are back. Short breaks. That's what we try to do. When we went to that break, right before the break, I was telling you, go check it out, folks. Don't take my word for it. Go to the CDC website, and if you're lucky, you can find it because they may have been forced to take it down. But go to the CDC website and look at the deaths. They're telling you 150,000 plus people have died from COVID-19, but the CDC extrapolated that only 9,200 or 9,600 of those deaths are directly because of solely COVID-19, the Wuhan 19. That means all the other deaths, they had some kind of comorbidity. That means they had a heart attack, or they had cancer, or they had pneumonia. They had something. There was a problem. They were on their deathbed already, or they had diabetes. Now, I'm not saying that the Wuhan 19 didn't aid them in the death and accelerating their death, but there is a difference from healthy people getting this virus and dying from it, and I am talking about elderly healthy who were the most susceptible to falling to this disease. When you look at, we shut down an economy. We've put black businesses, Hispanic businesses, white businesses. We have put small businesses out of business. We have put millions and millions and millions of people on the government dole because we shut down an economy because of a virus that so far has killed 9,000, let's say 9,600 or so people. And I'm saying directly, now this is CDC website, folks. Go look it up for yourself. That means that the death rate for this virus is so low and just steadily falling. I mean, we're talking about 15th of 1%, 15th of 1%, or it's probably even lower than that, folks. I'm trying to do this right now, but you can look it up yourself. I mean, it's sad, and there's plenty of blame to go around. And but I will tell you, the Democrats, they're ready to shut you down again. And you've got to ask yourself why. You got to ask yourself, why do they want to mail-in voting? Well, we know why, because they want to steal this election. If you can go to a shopping mall or a grocery store, you can go vote in person. If masks work so well that they need to be mandated by the government, who doesn't have the power to mandate mask wearing, but if masks work that well, then you can go vote. You can go vote and do it in person. If you truly care about the integrity of voting, and I don't care if you're a Democrat and Republican, and you can listen to the Democrats. Oh, we care about the integrity. We need fair and integrity elections. Then if you care about that, you'll vote in person. Because the most safest, secure way to know that your vote counts and that your vote is not a fraudulent one, the only way to do that, the safest way to do that, is to vote in person. So put on your mask if you have to, put on your plexi shield, put on your hazmat suit, but go vote in person. If you care so much about your duty and to be a voter, which you should, then go vote in person. That is the way. If you really care about being against fraudulent voting, if you really want a truthful election, go vote in person. Have your ID ready to prove who you are so your vote counts. And it is the most legal and most fair and most honest election. The only way to do that is to go vote in person. Now, I'm not saying if you're an elderly person, if you're sick, or if you have some kind of surgery or something and you just can't make it to a polling place, or if you have to travel around that time, then get your absentee ballot. We are set up for absentee ballots because every absentee ballot that goes out has a name on it and it has a voting number on it. And we know who those voters are. Yes, there can be fraud there, but it's harder to do with an absentee ballot, and we already have that system. But if you want 100% fraud, which is or at least the to allow voter harvesting, then that's mail-in voting. There is no way to secure mail-in voting. There is no way to know who is actually getting the ballot, who's making copies of the ballot, who's signing the ballot, and who's mailing that ballot in. And then there's no postmark. So are they going to sit, and yes, they will, sit on a number of ballots waiting? How many ballots does Biden need? Here they are. How many ballots does Biden need over there? Here they are. That's mail-in voting, folks. You can't prove me wrong. And if you think you can, then please, you call me, email me, whatever, and prove me wrong. You can't do it. You cannot prove me wrong. Look, folks, I am not angry. I'm just right. Mail-in voting would be an abject failure because it would be so much fraud. If you want an honest election, go vote in person or order your absentee ballot. Do it the right way, folks. If you care about an honest election, then you will do what's right and honest. So don't tell me that you want an honest election and then demand that not only do you want a mail-in ballot, that you don't want to use an ID to verify, you don't want signatures verified, and then you tell me that, oh, well, even if it's not postmarked, it needs to be counted even if it's 10, 20, 30 days after the election. Don't tell me that kind of crap and try and tell me that you want honest elections. It's ridiculous, folks. Look, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats know they're in for a shellacking. They know they're going to lose this election, and they're trying to figure out a way to steal it. If there's any meddling going on in the 2020 election, it is from the Democrat Party. It is from these groups out there who just cannot come to grips that we, the people, may not agree with them. That's all it is. That's all it is. Okay, well, and their quest for power. So let me get to something else, folks. We're still hearing so much about burn, loot, murder. The burn, loot, murder crowd is out, and they're getting emboldened. Antifa is out, and they're being emboldened. Just look what happened this weekend in Portland and in Wisconsin and just all over the place. But let me point out, here we are, another weekend, this weekend that just passed. 55 people shot, 10 killed. Black folks, ladies and gentlemen. One of the people shot this weekend, 15-year-old young teen boy, 15 years old teenage boy, shot a black boy. Have you heard one thing from BLM? Have you heard one thing from Antifa? Have you heard one thing from the Democrats? Have you heard one athlete who refused to play a kids game because of this 15-year-old who got shot, this 15-year-old black boy who got shot, the 55 other black people who got shot? How about the 10 black folks who were killed this weekend? This happened in Chicago. Double-digit shootings and deaths every weekend in Chicago. Just Chicago. I'm not even talking about Baltimore or Detroit or New York or San Francisco. Not even talking about those. Just Chicago, just this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 55 black people shot, 10 black people killed, 1 black teenage boy wounded. Yeah. I haven't seen one athlete, professional athlete, kneel in their name. I haven't seen one of their names get on the back of the jersey of any NBA basketball player or baseball player. I haven't seen their names on the back of their jerseys. I haven't seen them arrive to the game and then decide we're going to stay in the locker in the name of this teenage boy? No, I haven't heard that. No. But they'll stand up for a known rapist or a known criminal or some guy who's known for keeping weapons in his car or a guy who's already got a rap sheet the size of a, well, I don't even know. I'm not even going to go there. But they'll stand up for criminals, folks, because it feeds the narrative and feeds the agenda of burn, loot, murder, and Antifa, which is we're Biden voters. We don't like Trump. You like Trump, so we don't like you. And the fact that corporate America is still and sports, professional sports are still giving fodder and money to BLM is just, I am amazed. And ladies and gentlemen, if you thought the NFL might learn a lesson from the plunging NBA ratings, folks, the NBA ratings are in the toilet. Baseball was in the toilet. I mean, all of these sports, their ratings are in the toilet. If you think the NFL is going to learn from it, you're wrong. The NFL just put out some news just over the weekend that not only are they going to encourage the kneeling and the disrespecting of the United States flag and United States in general and disrespecting all their fans, not only are they going to do that, they're going to inscribe somewhere on the field a social justice message. Folks, is anybody going to watch NFL? I sure hope not. I'm not going to do it. Now, I'm not telling you what to do, but I can tell you what I'm going to do. And I won't watch any of this crap until they stop this mess. And I am just amazed. Folks, did you hear what the coach for the Seattle Seahawks said? The coach for the Seattle Seahawks said that, hey, if you're white, you just don't know things. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but go look it up. You won't believe what that coach said. He's a white dude. And I guess he's being ordered by his team to say these things. I don't know. But folks, just look at these multi-million dollar crybaby athletes who get paid to play a child's game. They get paid for this. Somehow they're oppressed. Multi-million dollars. The teams that are well over 50% black are somehow oppressed. It defies logic, which is what you're going to get here on Point with Victor. Logic and common sense. So ponder that for a while. The next time somebody comes up to you and says, you got to stick your fist in the air, you good little Marxist. The next time they tell you that, look at them and ask them, hey, tell me the name of the teenage boy that was shot in Chicago this weekend. Tell me the name of the 1-year-old kid who was shot in Chicago last weekend. Tell me the name of the, 7 or so year old kid who was shot in the head for riding his bicycle. Tell me the name of that one. Ask them. Look, Maxine Waters, a Democrat, who got on some stage in some crowd a few months ago and told you and ordered you to be good little Marxists. She ordered you to if you see them in a gasoline station, you push back on them. You get a crowd together and you push back on them. That's what she's inciting riot. Look, folks, let me say this right. The fuel for the riots has come from the Democrat Party. And you can look it up for yourself and see it. When Maxine Waters is out there telling you to push back on people. When the guy that was Attorney General for Obama tells you when they go high, when low, we kick them. Because when they go low, we kick them. Look, there's time after time after time when the Democrats, sitting representatives are telling, or elected officials or appointed officials of the Democrats have basically incited violence. They're telling you to go get in their face. They're telling you to go get Cory Booker. He told his people to go get in a representative's face. What do you think he's telling you to do? It's not Donald J. Trump. Find me a video where Donald J. Trump or any Republican has told their people at an event to go get in some senator's face, to go push back on them for going to the grocery store or to go to the gasoline station. Those are Democrats that have said to do that. Folks, I am telling you, do not be afraid when you're challenged by some burn, loot, murder nut or you're challenged by an Antifa nut, or you're challenged by a Democrat nut, do not be afraid to put it back on them. Be nice. Be nice. Do not get violent. Do not try and fight. Look, if you have to protect yourself, by all means, you protect yourself. But if you can walk away from a situation, walk away. When these people get violent, walk away if you can. But if they're trying to have a conversation with you, do not be afraid to just lay it back on them. Ask them, can you name the 1-year-old that was killed? Can you name the teenage boy that was shot? Can you name the 7-year-old boy that was shot in the head? Can you name any of the 55 black people that were shot this past weekend? Ask them, folks. Ask them. Put them on the spot. And because they're not going to answer you, folks. They're just going to get belligerent. And then, like I said, don't yell back. Don't call names. Just walk away if you can. All right, folks. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. This is On Point with Victor, America's Web Radio.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual family, or baby boomer, email maga45cag@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at maga45cag@gmail.com.
Perhaps you are struggling to cope with the disease of addiction. If not, you probably know a family member or friend that needs help in battling the cravings and the personal and professional damage done by the effects of drugs or alcohol. Get a pen and paper and be ready to write down the following. These are the issues that the trained staff at the Atlanta Healing Center address and treat every day. Their doctors and counselors with over 40 years of practice in the field of addiction can treat the suffering individual in a thoughtful, compassionate, and experienced manner and guide him or her along the path to recovery. So call 770-696-9862 and speak to a knowledgeable staff member about how you or your loved one can be helped to enjoy a better and healthier life. More information is also available on the website at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
Get your pen and paper ready. If there's a move in your near future, I'm here to tell you that the folks I used and now recommend is Around Town Movers. Timothy and the guys recently moved me, and I am and was totally satisfied with a sometimes not so fun experience moving. Call Timothy at 770-378-4708 and make it a good move and a good experience. Around Town Movers for that local or cross-country move. Timothy, Around Town Movers, in my opinion, are the best. That's Around Town Movers. Call them.
This is David Donaldson with the Atlanta Healing Center, conveniently located in Lawrenceville, Georgia. At AHC, your success is our goal. Addiction recovery is about more than just not using. It's about becoming a whole person and addressing all aspects of your physical, psychological, and social needs. Please call us at 770-696-9862, or you can reach us on the web at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And welcome back, folks. Look, during the break, I got a message from a listener in, I believe, Marietta, Georgia, one of our listeners there, who pointed out that the NFL is also planning on airing the Black national anthem. So you know, I don't know, David. I don't know what that is. I'm almost afraid to know. I got a feeling that it's a bunch of fists in the air and it's much more Marxism jargon. But I really don't know. But the fact that they would be willing to play that and not the national anthem, or they want to play the national anthem and kneel in front of the flag. They want to kneel in front of the men and women who bled so they could play this game. That they want to stand for a Black national anthem. I mean, what's going to happen if people kneel for that? I mean, you'd probably be kicked out of a stadium quicker than a fat kid kicked out of a closing Krispy Kreme. I mean, or a fat person kicked. I should stop. I should stop. But look, I won't even get into Chinese buffets. But all right. So let me say this. 2020. What more can we say about this year? It's the year that keeps on giving, and it's given and not in a good way. But I do want to say this, folks. I like to be positive because there's lots to be positive about. So don't lose your faith, because you're about to be inundated by a Biden campaign that is. Look, you saw there. Well, not many people watched the Democrat convention, but if you did, you saw nothing but doom and gloom. Everyone's a racist. If you're a white citizen in America, you're a racist. That is basically what the Democrat convention told you. That if you love this country, you're a racist because this is a bad country. This is what you got from a Democrat National Convention. Now compare that to what you just saw last week with the Republican. Well, nay, not the Republican convention. It was the Trump convention, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But just don't lose faith, people. Look, I want to tell you, 2020 is going to end with a bang. It really is, because on November 3rd, I believe it's November 3rd, I believe we're going to have a great landslide. Now, look, I still want the Trump campaign and all the Republicans out there that are campaigning. You campaign like you're losing. You've got to keep that mindset, and you've got to work harder than you've ever worked before. But I do think a landslide is coming. So I think 2020 is going to end with a bang. We're going to end with a good election. We're going to end with hopefully a landslide election, because, folks, we have to have good turnout. It's the only way to beat fraud.
How can the Democrats win when they're running people that think Guam is sinking into the Pacific? How can say, it's listing to the left. We got too many Marines on Guam. It's going to sink.
I'm telling you, you've got Democrats running that think islands are going to sink. You've got Democrats running that think that Marxism is the way to go. You've got Democrats running who think that all black people are monolithic. They think that vote's in the bag, so now they're going after the Hispanic culture. I mean, it really is sad, but I don't want I don't want you to lose faith, because we could end this year with not only a banging fourth quarter and who knows how big the GDP is going to grow, but we're going to go into Christmas. We're going to go into a feel-good season, and I think it's going to be kicked off by a tremendous win in November. So I want you to work hard. I want you to work harder than you ever worked.
Well, don't take it for granted. Be
Yes.
sure and go out and vote.
Yeah, don't take anything for granted. If you hear anyone in your family or any friend or anyone on the fence, I don't care if you just happen to be sitting in an airport and you hear somebody say something like, I may not vote. I think Trump's got it in the bag. You tell them nothing's in the bag. Nothing is in the bag. And the only way to beat fraud is voter turnout. So Trump's going to need all the votes he can get. I do think it's going to be a landslide, but we have to be vigilant, and we have to work harder than we've ever worked, and we've got to vote. And everybody, we got to make sure that everybody votes.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I know I haven't missed an opportunity to vote for president since I got turned 21. And like I said, I don't know how you feel about it, but if I were to miss, and I have missed a few non-presidential elections, but I'm embarrassed that I didn't make it, or I didn't vote, or whatever.
I would feel terrible.
Just embarrassed, and have to look myself in the mirror, and how is if that and I can't really remember that many times it's even happening. I have missed some not runoffs, but some pre-election stuff.
Right, primaries and things like that. Yeah.
Stuff. But then I look myself in the mirror and say, well, you get what you pay for.
Right.
And you don't go and vote.
Right.
Then you have no right to open your mouth.
Let me tell you, there are plenty of excuses to make, and people do it every year, every election time. They'll make excuses for not going. And I'm telling you, folks, and I know Many,
my dog ate my homework.
Yeah, I know many of the conservatives, you work, and you work hard, and you put in long days, but you've got to get up a little extra early that day and go vote first. Get it out of the way. They open at 7 a.m., and look, I don't like early mornings myself, but if that's what it takes, then get up and be the first one at that polling booth and get it out of the way.
We also have
Right. If you can't do it, you can do absentee, or you can vote early. Your precinct will be open, or a precinct near you will be open probably a month before voting, which I think is asinine, but it's there. And you can, so there is no excuse. You can vote early, you can vote absentee, or you can walk your butt in there early in the morning or late in the afternoon or evening and go vote. Just make sure you do. Every vote does count. Look, I used to have some listeners out in California who didn't think their vote counted because it was California. But folks, I'm here to tell you, these votes are going to count. And we don't know. There is a big unknown right now with all the unrest and the lawlessness going on. Look, folks, the polling, the internal polling, not what you hear on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, none of that mainstream media. But the actual candidates' internal polling is showing that the American people are putting the lawlessness and the riots and burn, loot, murder and Antifa, they're putting them in the laps of the Democrats. And it's starting to show. There is a reason, folks. And look, how do I know this, you're asking? Because of logic and common sense. For 100 days, Biden hid from the riots. Biden never said a word about the riots. Kamala Harris never said a word about the riots. All they said was peaceful, peaceful. Don't you see? Don't look at this flaming city over here. Don't look at this shattered business. Don't look at the looting over here. Your eyes, oh, how they deceive you, because it's all peaceful. That's what they were telling you. The CNN, ABC, NBC, PBS, all of them were telling you that nothing to see here, just peaceful. In fact, and you, if you want a good laugh, go look this up. A CNN reporter the other day actually stood in front of a city that was on fire. His whole backdrop, I just cannot believe this happened. But you can go look it up for yourself. Behind the reporter for CNN, as this aired live, was a city on fire. The neighborhood was burning. It wasn't a small fire here. It was on fire. And the reporter said, well, while there's fire, it's mostly peaceful. He had the audacity to say that. Folks, go look it up on YouTube. It's there. It's a CNN reporter, CNN cameras, CNN live broadcast with the town burning down behind him actually said, well, yeah, there's some fire, but it's mostly peaceful. Now, I don't know how burning down an innocent person's business, burning down a town, and hurting and harming and putting innocent people in danger. I don't know how that's peaceful. There wasn't a peaceful thing.
For the Portland mayor to explain how it's peaceful when they went to his condo and have been trying to burn it.
Oh, and how he quickly had law enforcement come push them right on out of his neighborhood. Yeah, you know, he can have, or she can have police escorts and police in her neighborhood, but boy, not you, because we're going to defund it. And folks, let me tell you something.
The city has started going after him. They're all resign signs. And,
yeah.
This guy is a doofus. I mean,
that actually reminds me, David. I believe this weekend, 6 Democrat elected officials, and I believe it was in Minneapolis, 6 of them came out and endorsed President Trump. Now well, you're not going to hear it. They don't want to report this. You got to dig around and find this. And I just was digging around doing show prep last night, and I came across this article. It was a Washington Post article, I believe. 6 elected Democrats have endorsed President Donald J. Trump. Now, that's Minnesota. Now, I do believe Minnesota is going to flip, and it's going to be a Trump. It's going to vote Trump. But again, we got to pretend like we're behind. But when you've got 6 elected Democrats who come out and endorse Donald Trump, and you don't hear about it, and because the media is trying to suppress it, I'm telling you, folks, there is something going on out there, and it's that silent majority that is starting to not become so silent anymore. But again, we've got to make sure we go vote. We've got to pretend that we're losing, and just make sure everybody votes around you, and we must be vigilant. But don't believe what you're hearing on CNN. It's about to get way worse, folks, what you're going to hear from the mainstream media. In fact, let me tell you something else you're going to hear, because this came out today already. There is a Democrat group that does modeling. Now, we know modeling basically is a joke, because it is no truer statement has ever been said. You get what you put in. Garbage in, garbage out. That's how a model works. When somebody sits down, especially when they're looking for an agenda like this Democrat group, they know the outcome they want, so they're going to put in the data that's going to give them the outcome they want. That's why we have the phrase garbage in, garbage out. Well, this group of Democrats is already out there today saying that, now, part of what they said is the truth, and then they lay down the lie. And this is what they're going to start telling you, that expect a Trump landslide on election night. On election night, it's going to be a huge landslide. And then here's where the lie comes. Then they said, but don't worry, Biden will win 10 days later because of the mail-in votes. Now, folks, if that's not telling you right there, they're descriptively telling you that they're out to steal the election, because their models show, mail-in voting is our Biden supporters, and Biden supporters are going to mail their votes in, and we're not going to be able to count those until 10 days after the election. So they're saying that there's going to be a landslide for Trump, and then 10 days later that Biden will be the winner. Folks, that is a complete joke, and it's complete garbage. But this is what they're going to inundate you with, because they want you to stay home. They want you to think it's hopeless. And I'm telling you, you've got to do the opposite. The only way to beat fraud is turnout. And I'm telling you, the silent majority, I think, is just chomping at the bit to get out and vote. And I think a majority is going to happen in person, because there are black voters, Hispanic voters who've never voted for Trump. There may be white voters that have never voted for Trump, and they want their vote to count, and they're going to show up at the polls, and they're going to vote for Trump. And I tell you, we got a neat thing coming, but this is what I'm talking about. Don't lose faith, because there are good things that are happening out there. Look, folks, just this morning, the small act of a FedEx driver coming up, just a black man who's a middle-class, hardworking American, took the time to walk up. And folks, I have a pretty good stairway that goes up to my front door. So he took the time to not just walk from the street to my stairway up to the front door, knock on it, and wait so he could tell me he was a Trump supporter. Folks, I am telling you, there's something happening out there, and the Democrats are scared out of their minds. And I know the Democrats are scared, because, like I told you, for 100 days, Biden hasn't said a word. Not one word of the riots was mentioned during the Democrat convention.
Didn't you just overstate something?
What's that?
I didn't know Biden had a mind.
Yeah.
How can you be scared out of something he ain't got?
He used to have a mind that he could be scared out of, but unfortunately, David, you're probably right. But I will tell you, his team, his handlers, they're scared out of their minds because what they're seeing. And I am telling you, their internal polls have changed because their actions have changed. You know what I say? Don't listen to words. Just look at the actions of the Democrats. And when they suddenly trot Biden out and they're making Biden tell you that it's Trump, somehow Trump's responsible for the riots, somehow Trump is fueling the fire. Folks, there is not one Republican city on fire. Every city that's on fire is a Democrat-run city. There's no Republican in sight. They're all elected Democrats, and they've been elected Democrats that run that city for decades. Those cities, they're Democrat-run, and the rioters, burn, loot. Do you think burn, loot, murder, and Antifa are going to vote for Trump? Do you think these people out there doing all the burning and looting and murdering are Trump voters? These are Biden voters, if they're going to vote at all. So, I mean, it's unbelievable how stupid they think you and we, the people, are. Because that's how stupid they think you are. That they can that for 100 days not say anything about the riots. In fact, they were telling you there were no riots going on. Nadler, an elected congressman, Democrat, stood and told a reporter, no, there are no riots going on. That's a myth. We have video right here of the riots. And Nadler said it's a myth. And now, because of their internal polling, now they're coming out and acknowledging the riots and trying to blame Trump. It is amazing. I mean, you can't make this up. Hollywood couldn't have come up with this script. I mean, they really couldn't have. It's just amazing. But I want to tell you, just do not lose faith. Do not lose faith.
Wouldn't because they're Democrats.
Well, that's true. They're Democrat because they would come up with it. Well, they would try to come up with it, but they would say it's the Republicans, which is what the Democrats are doing now. But listen, I truly, truly, truly don't lose faith. Never forget, we are Americans. We adapt. We overcome. We can keep the American spirit lit. No matter who the foe is, no matter how hard times get, that American spirit cannot be squashed. The American spirit, the light that burns within you, that light for freedom, that yearning for liberty, it can't be extinguished. It can't. It can be hidden for a while. It can be suppressed for a while, but it can't be hidden. So don't lose faith. It's that spirit, that American spirit, that you can't see or gauge with an iPhone. There's no app to gauge your American spirit, but it's there. And folks, the American spirit can light a fire under you like nothing else.
It can be bent, but not broken.
But not broken. Yeah, it can be bent and it can be put down, but it can't be broken and it can't be extinguished. Unless you're a member of today's Democrat Party, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're, let me put it to you this way: if you're a member of today's Democrat Party, you're a forever victim. You're told that you're a victim. Somehow, some way, you're a victim. You can't possibly be smart enough to succeed without government. This is what today's Democrat Party is trying to tell you. You're a forever victim. You can't succeed without government. You're weak. You're feeble. Only government can hold you up. If you fall, only government can lift you up. You're clueless when they send out the burn, loot, murder crowd to go burn your city down. When the Antifa crowd crosses state lines and enters your city because they're paid agitators by George Soros and other groups, you're just clueless because you're not really seeing that. This is what the Democrats tell you. Even though it's right in front of your face and you see it, you're seeing it, you've seen it for the last 100 days. None of these riots have anything to do with a black life. It has everything to do with Marxism. It has everything to do with their hatred for Donald J. Trump. And the Democrat Party, they're fueling this. The Democrat Party is the one that wants hatred to rule the day.
You know, I want to go to one step further, or ask you one step further.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in many ways, I agree with what you're saying, but I think it's much deeper than just hating Donald Trump. They hate America and for what
that's
they stand.
Not, David, this is why you're the legend. There is no doubt. If this wasn't Donald Trump and it was any other Republican, Ted Cruz, Rubio, they would be doing the same thing because their end goal is to take down the American way of life. They want to take down freedom, they want to take down liberty, and they want you to be a subject of the government. It's Marxism. This is a Marxist, socialist, progressive movement. And David, you're absolutely 100% right. Right now, Trump's the target. And sometimes, yeah, he may make himself an easy target. But if it weren't Trump, it doesn't matter. Because they have a hatred for America.
You know, we can't let it go on.
Right.
And it won't just go on. It'll get deeper and sloppier and nasty and stinkier if Biden were to win.
Go, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, it's just, and that's why we have to be vigilant. That's why we have to go vote, and that's why. That's funny. Okay, we'll have to get into that in the next show. Those of you who are listening, the Roger B. with Locked and Loaded just snuck into the studio, and showed me something that we'll just have to talk about later. But folks, this is what I'm getting at, and this is what David's alluding to. We must be vigilant. We must go vote. We must not rest on any laurels. This election is too important. And look, this is what today's Democrat Party is telling, and this is what I'm telling you. This is how they view you. You're a forever victim. You're too stupid to live on your own. You can't do anything without the government. If you don't believe in them, you're a racist. Folks, I have been called a brown racist. I didn't know that existed, but apparently it does. This is what they think. You must bow at the feet of the Biden burn, loot, murder voter. You have to be fearful. You have to be apologetic. You've got to be reborn and cleansed by the almighty government God. That is today's Democrat Party. This is what they're trying to tell you, folks. Now, we've got to end the show. This is all I got time for today. So let me leave you with this. Here's a positive, good thing to think about. This is Trump's party now. What you saw last week wasn't the Republican convention. It was the Trump convention. The establishment Republicans could have never pulled off what Trump pulled off last week. The establishment Republicans would have never put a former, Planned Parenthood lady up like they did, Abby, and I can't remember her last name. But Trump put her on that stage. This is Trump's party now. This party is not about R's and D's. This is not an ideologue campaign. This is Trump's working man's party. The Republican Party is the working man's party. And it is inclusive to everyone, black, white, yellow, green, whatever. Just go watch this. Go look at the speakers that were there. This is the Trump party now. And this is the party that so many people like me support. I would never subscribe to an R or a D, but I will, and I tell you now, I am an undying Trump supporter. We support the unapologetic way that Trump defends our great country. We support the unapologetic way that Trump supports our men and women in uniform. We support the unapologetic way that Trump stands for our veterans. We support the unapologetic way that Trump defends the American citizen. In Trump's world, it's the citizen first, not the non-citizen. And I'm here as a Hispanic of Mexican descent to tell you the American citizen must come first. And my father, who was born in Mexico, is an American citizen, will tell you himself, I'm an American first. That is the citizen that Donald Trump looks out for. That is the America we need. And that is why we will support, and we do support, Donald Trump. It's that simple, folks. All right, make sure you tune in next week. I will be back, and we will get into more news and wonderful things and the truths that you might only hear here on Point with Victor. But don't go anywhere. You stay tuned. I might even stay a little while and have some fun with Roger B. with Locked and Loaded. Don't you go anywhere, because that's coming up next. Everything you want to know about guns right here on America's Web Radio.
One thing that I would like to point out with or just add to what Victor was saying, and if you will, folks,